So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome once again from my office. Mercury retrograde is in full effect. Wow. Yesterday, I was shooting my Rahu Ketu video that I was supposed to upload last night. And in the middle of shooting, I just wanted to check and see how my recording is coming. And I noticed that there's no audio. In my entire recording, there is no audio. And then I'm like, okay, maybe I need to change the battery. I'll just have to reshoot it. So I changed the battery, but the receiver that's on top of my camera, the light's not turning on. So, and then this morning, my desktop stopped working for an hour. It's restarted, but then it was just at that logo in the very beginning of the computer company. So boy, is this screwing up or what? So now I have to order a brand new audio device because especially here, fixing audio, especially in DC, no, you just got to buy a new one. No one's here to fix it. So $367 gone for a brand new audio lapel mic. So anyway, so I thought, well, let's just do something more interesting. Make the best out of this lemonade of Mercury retrograde. So today I want to talk to you about aspects of Saturn. Something very interesting, about Saturn aspect. And again, I got to thank my main man, my digital guru, A.V. Sundaram, for really opening up my eyes to how to look at astrology, to how to look at planets, to how to see. And it just comes. It's like a Wi-Fi connection. Like A.V. Sundaram becomes this router for me. He has where my computer and the internet connection is strengthened through A.V. Sundaram. So myself and the knowledge of astrology is being transmitted through this Wi-Fi connection of A.V. Sundaramji. So thank you so much. So Saturn aspect. For this, I want to share something interesting with you because as you know, in Vedic astrology, Saturn has the 3rd house aspect, 7th house aspect, and 10th house aspects. So if you look at this chart, for those who follow Western astrology and Vedic or the South Indian chart, this is a very, very normal chart. Okay. And here, this is the 1st house. The first box is the 1st house, the rising sign, the ascendant. Counterclockwise to it is the 2nd house, 3rd house, as you see here. 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th. So these are your 12 houses of astrology. For this person, for this example, we're going to be using Saturn in the ascendant in the 1st house. Okay? So in Vedic astrology, regardless of where Saturn is, your Saturn could be in the 1st house, 2nd house, 4th house, 7th house, 10th house, 12th house, okay? Wherever it sits, it's always going to aspect the 3rd place from itself, 7th place from itself, and 10th place from itself. But this is a very basic of astrology, okay? And 3rd aspect of Saturn shows efforts, where you have to put efforts, where you have to, fight for something. 7th aspect of Saturn obviously represents the relationship aspect. And there's something interesting about this 7th aspect. And then the 10th aspect about the karmas, which there's also something very interesting about this. I don't know if some of you have ever gotten these type of things. But I want you to, okay, pay attention to this. See, imagine this as like this beam of Saturn's aspect, okay? So imagine these beam as Saturn's aspect. Now watch what happens, okay? See that? I'll do it again. What is happening? This Saturn aspect is intensifying. It's becoming more blue, more blue, more blue. And that's the most intense. Although I could have gotten all the way to the black level, but you know, I just wanted to show this as an example. What is this showing us? This is showing us time. This is showing us time. Okay. This is showing that with time, as time passes, and Saturn is actually time, the aspect of Saturn intensifies. They intensify. So imagine this as the very young age of a human being. 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. Then this is like 8 years, 9 years, 10 years. Then this is like 16, 17, 18. Then this is like 25, 27, 28. Then this is their mid 30s and 40s. Then this is their 50s. Then this is their like 60s beyond, and you can keep going. So this is one thing you have to understand, is that Saturn's aspect intensify with age. And I'm gonna use actually 3 examples from my Facebook. I put a post today. I knew I was gonna get thousands of comments there. I asked for 3 details of people. I don't even know who they are. I'm like, don't tell me who you are. I don't know. It could be your mom, dad, sister, uncle, you know, even your dog's horoscope. I mean, I don't care. I don't want to know. Just give me the details, and I'm gonna, you know, see how these things are. Like, you know, I don't care to, you know, fail at these things anymore. I'm like, I just don't. So I'm like, just give me a chart. I don't care what it is. I'll just use it for this example here. So I'm gonna, you know, show you this chart. Now, obviously, if you do not know where your Saturn is placed in sidereal side, what your other planetary details are, so you can see where Saturn is aspecting, including now understanding your destiny point in the birth chart, which is known as the initial of BP, which you'll see on the second page of your report, which shows your destiny point. And I made a video on this. You can check out that at my links in the description at astrologycares.com under shop section, option 5 through 14. Okay, so let's share this again. So as I said, that aspect of Saturn intensifies with age. But what you also have to understand is the most basic logic, the basic logic. You see this number 3, 7, 10. Keep that in mind. 3, 7, 10. 3, 7, 10. What does this tell you? This tells you that every 3 years, Saturn third aspect increases, intensifies. So that means when you are born, okay, the very first 3 years, Saturn aspects will be in its very light stage. Then the next 3 years, when you turn 5, or I'm sorry, when you turn 5 years old, the third from the third, then it intensifies even more. So the age of 5 becomes that trigger point of that new intensity of the third aspect. Or actually, I mean, you can look at as every 3 years, every 3 years. So it'll be like 5 to 6. Okay, between 5 to 6, not just 5, 5 to 6, it'll be the intensity of the third aspect will increase. Then at the age of 9, it'll increase more. Like between 8 and 9, it'll increase more. Then between 9 and 11, it'll increase. Then 9 and 13 will increase. The 9 and 15, or 13 and 15 will increase. Then 18 will increase. Then 20 will increase. The third aspect. It'll intensify. This is why when third aspect, see for this person in the ascendant, this Saturn will show that this person will have to put in a lot of effort. And they will have to fight in dealing with their siblings, dealing with their close neighbors and friends. Their stamina, their courage, their strength will have to work overtime to achieve something. And you also have to understand, wherever Saturn is placed in the horoscope, it intensifies, obviously, as we grow, okay? But that's a later thing. So here, this person, if you notice, logically, at age of 3, okay, when that Saturn aspect first comes about, what happens? Little kids fight, little kids argue, little kids put an effort to understand their sibling. Like my own daughters. One is 2, one is 3. They're already like, the third daughter gets mad at the other one, or I mean, the 3-year-old gets mad at the other one takes the toy. They're starting to understand. See, the other one is between 2 and 3, the other one's already 3. So now that ego is intensifying. Hey, who are you? Who are you as my counterpart? Oh, you are my sibling, huh? Oh, and you want to take my toy. Oh, and you want to take this doll from me. This belongs to me, but we can still be friends. Then what happens? Between 5 and 6, it intensifies even more. The interaction of the third aspect, where you have putting more effort towards understanding the third house. So whatever, based on what sign Saturn is in, what nakshatra Saturn is in, this can signify the positive and the negative. Okay? This can it shows that with every year, your relationship with the sibling just grew apart, because it started at 3 when you guys were fighting for your toys. Then you were fighting in games. Then you were fighting in school. Then you were fighting for inheritance. Then you just like fought and went to court cases. It intensifies. So when 2 brothers, sisters hate each other, don't get along, it wasn't happen just one incident at the age of 27, 28, where, oh, you didn't do this and I'm mad at you. Very rarely that happens, because when any big fight happens later in age, it always gets resolved. They're like, what are we doing? I know you didn't show up to my wedding, whatever, just be my sister or be my brother. But when it is slowly building, you're like, I don't want to deal with this person, because every time I have to deal with this person, somehow I'm putting too much effort into dealing with them. I don't want to do it. That's the third aspect. Then logically, the 7th aspect of Saturn intensifies every 7 years. At 7 years of age, we as human beings, at least as between boys and girls, I mean, I can talk about boys because I'm a boy. I don't know about girls, but as a boy at 7, you start noticing, ooh, that like in India, I used to watch these movies and I'm like, ooh, that's a good looking actress. Oh my God, that's a pretty good looking woman there. I didn't know what I was going through. Like, wow, that's a beautiful woman. Okay, maybe whatever it is, it is. Then at 14, boom, puberty comes in. Oh man, I won that woman. I won that woman. So wherever Saturn aspects the 7th house, each 7 years, it'll intensify. So once you get married, what happens? From the day you get married, first of all, remember there's this thing called 7-year itch. That occurs with this 7th aspect, because every 7 years. So from the moment you get married, the 7-year aspect gets intensified. That means, which is Saturn, duty, commitment, sacrifice, discipline, structure, organization, everything needed to sustain a marriage. So you started out as this liking for the opposite sex, liking for the same sex, but it intensifies and then it matures, like here, then it's like maturing. So now you're married. Now the Saturn says you have to have responsibilities of somebody else, partnership, marriage. Then, and one thing you got to understand about 7th house, what is the relationship between the 7th house, 7th aspect, and Saturn? Or what is the relationship between 7th house and Saturn versus any other planet? Saturn is a planet that gets its full directional strength in the 7th house. So the 7th aspect of Saturn shows where Saturn throws its highest of karma. You have some karma to that relationship that Saturn is aspecting. So if Saturn is in the ascendant, you have to deal with some very heavy karma related to the relationship, related to the 7th house, marriage. If Saturn is in the 11th house, you have some heavy karma in relationship dealing with your children. And it's going to intensify every 7 years. And the other thing that we also see is that obviously Venus is the karka of the 7th house. Okay. So whenever you're judging the 7th aspect of Saturn, also look at Venus. Venus represents every relationship altogether. Whether it's your siblings, whether it's your spouse, whether it's your children, Venus will give this 7th aspect its final, like a cherry on cake. I don't know if you guys can hear that. That's my daughter outside, trying to come in my office because she's always like just hanging around in my office. Okay, so that's the 7th aspect. Now, the 10th aspect. 10th house, and remember, 7th house is the bhavat bhavam of the 10th house. That means if 10th house is karma, the 7th house is even more karma. But 10th aspect of Saturn represents where the karma has to be performed, where your deeds are somehow to that 10th aspect. And especially I want to use this term. 10th aspect of Saturn is the iron fist. This is where you are the strongest. This is where you just feel like I can fight this. I can achieve it. I may not be able to achieve my 3rd aspect results or my 7th house karma. But when it comes to 10th aspect, I think I can fight this no matter what. Why? What is the original 10th house? This sign of Capricorn. Capricorn obviously represents our karmas. Okay? It represents our duties in the outer world, to the government, to authorities. It's authority in itself. But what is also Capricorn? Capricorn represents iron, steel. And Saturn is a karka of iron and steel. Like Scorpio represents oil, petroleum, Capricorn represents iron and steel. And remember, Saturn is naturally a karka of the 8th house and 12th house. Karka of what? Sudden changes, transformation, and exerting of our karmas, meaning exerting our energy towards something, wasting our energy away. And it also represents expenses. Like, you have more expenses than you get the money coming in. So that's what Saturn is. And at the same time, 12th house represents isolation, foreign lands, foreign travels. Saturn has its ability to isolate us. Okay, so you have to also remember these two karkavastha whenever you're dealing with Saturn itself. And its aspect will have the element of the 8th house and 12th house, including even the 6th house of struggles. So this is the 3 aspects. Now, because I said Capricorn represents iron, and I said the iron fist, wherever Saturn is, that's where you're able to fight with iron gloves. That is where you feel like I need to perform something related to this. I need to do something related to this house, this particular house. So this is the 3 aspect. Now here comes another interesting thing. And this is where you have to kind of know this concept of Ashtakavarga, Binashtakvarga, Sarvashtakvarga, including KRSchannel, which is even more advanced. The thing is, I have never made a video on Ashtakavarga on YouTube, and I don't know if I ever will. There's so much dogmatic things attached to the Ashtakavarga in Vedic astrology, which is a mathematical system that shows the strength of your house and sign in the birth chart and divisional charts. It also shows how strong a transit is. So let's say if you know, a lot of people get fearful. Oh my God, my debilitated Saturn is now in Aries and it's coming over my sun. And oh my God, what's going to happen? Or my sun is, or debilitated Mars is coming into my 4th house or 7th house. Oh my God, what's going to happen? Well, people don't understand that through Ashtakavarga, if that planet gets maximum high points, like through Ashtakavarga, they get high points. Through Ashtakavarga, they get like over 30 points. That planet will actually do extremely well for you. But again, the reason why I don't make it is that people then what happens is psychology of the human is, oh my God, I have such low scores in my 11th house. I have such low scores in my 5th house, or I have such low scores in my 7th house. I will never find happiness in marriage. And there's so much to understanding Ashtakavarga that I just don't think that people will then, because once you see that, it just psychologically gets you. So that's why I haven't made it, but I will have an option on my website where actually I've made a personal audio and video of understanding Ashtakavarga in like literally 39, 42 minutes, where you understand the basic of Ashtakavarga. But I don't want to put it here on YouTube because a lot of people then get very fearful, because then it will be like, oh my God, I have such low scores and I will never be able to, do this or do that. Because in a way, yes, that is kind of true, because Ashtakavarga has its final say, but not in a way you think. Okay. So, but still, I want to share this for those who know Ashtakavarga. Okay. So let's say, for example, this third aspect of Saturn, and let's say 28 points is the average Sarva Ashtakavarga. If you don't know what I'm talking about, don't worry about it. Okay, let me just blab on. You don't need to worry about it. It's not going to change your world. It's not going to change your life. But let's say the third aspect of Saturn, 7th aspect of Saturn, whichever houses that Saturn is aspecting, okay, has, let's say, above average Ashtakavarga points. It receives, let's say, 33, 34, 38, 37 in the 3rd house, 7th house, 10th house. What happens is, if, let's say, even your Saturn is debilitated, shows that 3 aspect of Saturn will be very harsh on everything. Sure, yes, they'll be harsh on everything. But if those houses receive high Ashtakavarga points, Saturn, what will do, and you can apply this to all the other planets too, especially Saturn, that through struggle, through facing challenges, as you grow older, and this aspect of Saturn intensifies, okay? That intensity will not get worse, it'll actually get better. So let's say if somebody grew up in poverty, grew up around like gangs and crime and drug lords and whatnot, and they had to fight their way to do things. They went to even jail as a teenager. But because the third aspect of effort received high Ashtakavarga points, regardless of which house Saturn is in, just look 3rd from itself and 7th from itself and 10th from itself. If those houses receive high Ashtakavarga points, those aspects will start to magnify the good side of those houses. So if, let's say, you will receive 17.7th from Saturn or 18.7th from Saturn, average is 28, below 28 is below average, above 28 is above average for those who know Ashtakavarga system. But let's say you have 18, okay, 18 points. And Saturn is exalted. What this will show, that your ability to deal with relationship and marriage will require more work for you to maintain that. For you to maintain a good, healthy relationship and marriage, it simply says, a low Ashtakavarga simply shows us where we have to put more work in to keep it balanced. Like, I'll give you an example, okay? Bill Gates' chart. If you look Bill Gates' chart and you look at the 11th house of his ascendant, you'll be like, how the hell is he a billionaire? How the hell is he, has a long-term marriage? Well, first of all, people are not reading Ashtakavarga correctly. And especially I want to thank Mark Boney on this, because he really clarified a lot of things for me, which I read in like literally 2-3 different books. I've read and I'm like, okay, they're saying this, then they're saying this, then they're saying that, what the hell? And then Mark Boney just cleared everything for me. So also, for example, let's say your Saturn is debilitated in the first house. Let's say this is the Aries ascendant. Saturn is looking at the 7th house. But in the 7th house, you also have, let's say, 28, 29, 30 points, 33 points. What's going to happen is marriage, any new task related to the 7th house will feel like tremendous amount of struggle. So if you get married the first time or second time or third time, or you're starting a new business partnership, even with older age, that new task become a brand new struggle that you start with. But with the time it improves, with the time those aspects will improve and you'll get so much out of it. And this is why I tell people, don't be fearful of Ashtakavarga. Regardless of how low of Ashtakavarga is, doesn't mean that you're going to be not going to be rich, not going to be married, and it's going to be in poverty. No, it simply shows that you'll have to put more effort than other people. Bill Gates, let's say, for example, okay, let me show you this one thing here. Open. Okay. So I'm going to share a chart. And I want to apologize to this person. Okay. I'm going to share this birth chart of Amitabh Bachchan. And the first thing I want to say is I absolutely apologize for using your birth details to show people something about a horoscope, because you got to understand, there's a reason why I don't do celebrity horoscope as often, or I haven't done it in like 2-3 years, because there's a lot of other reasons, but one main reason is that when you throw somebody's birth details outside, you're stripping them naked and showing them off to the world, which is not a right thing to do. And this is why I just want to let Amitabh Bachchan know, if he's ever watching this, that I'm not going to make any predictions on your future or anything. I'm only going to discuss what the past is. It's not my job to show whatever your life is. This is your own private life. Okay, so apologies for doing this. Because remember, like when you look at anybody's chart, not just celebrity, but anybody, you as astrologer are pretty much looking at through X-rays. But what now people do, like whenever we show them on, forums or YouTube or somewhere, we're pretty much is like a stripper taking the stripper clothes off, and then the prediction is like throwing monies at the stripper. That's what it becomes. And I just don't think that's right. So I only want to do, horoscopes of people who have already passed away. But the only thing that I just want to say about this horoscope is, if you look at this is the ascendant of Amitabh Bachchan, Aquarius ascendant. Okay. 11th from for Amitabh Bachchan is 32 points, right? Well above average. But Saturn Mahadasha was operating for Amitabh Bachchan during his like heydays, during his that prime from 1971 to 1990, where Amitabh Bachchan made crores, like millions and millions of dollars, or rupees, or whatever you want to call it. How is this possible? Because in Ashtakavarga system, okay, we have to look at the 11th from the Mahadasha Lord. So if I did not know anything about Ashtakavarga, as many don't, I would be like, astrology is not correct because it's lower than 28 points. How the hell did he made all this money? And it's Mahadasha. What you don't realize is, when you have a low Ashtakavarga point, this simply means that a person will put extra effort to achieve their goal, and yet their goal can surpass everybody that they know. So between 1971 and 1990, Amitabh Bachchan was working 16 hours a day, 17 hours a day sometimes, barely sleeping for 3 hours. He was very sleep deprived. I don't know if it was an interview or something, but I do know that he has like he was deprived of sleep. Like he just felt insomniac for quite a while. So what this shows is that you can achieve anything, but it'll require more effort than the other person. Like, for example, if, okay, Bill Gates is here. So Bill Gates, okay, went through his prime years to make his $1 billion from 1982 to 2002, okay? So I'm going to make, so if you look at Bill Gates from the ascendant, 11th house, 27 points. Uh-oh, how is he the most richest person in the world? What happened? Well, there are many factors that go into seeing that. But if you look, if you make Venus the ascendant, the 20-year Mahadasha period, 11th from Venus, which is the house of gains, liquid gains. Guess how many points he has? 36 points. But there's other factors working at play. So this is what I just want to clarify. Okay, so this is a chart of a person. I'm not going to reveal where they live and their name. I'm just giving their date of birth and all that, okay? So here, if you notice, first of all, Saturn's aspect, Saturn is in the 11th house. Saturn aspect is in the ascendant. The third aspect is in the ascendant. The 7th aspect is in the 5th house. 10th aspect is at the 8th house. So now let's look at, understand Saturn. So Saturn, first of all, and you have to know the basic of astrology, like what house rulership Saturn is. So Saturn is the ascendant ruler and the 12th house ruler. And because Saturn's Mool Trikon sign is in the ascendant, this sign supersedes the sign of Capricorn. That means Saturn will give 70% results related to the ascendant, 30% results related to the 12th house. Ascendant is what? Yourself, your physical self, your vitality, your health. So here now the third aspect of Saturn is, which shows that from the age of 3, this person started to put a lot of effort into their appearance, into their look, into how they give themselves out in the world. They had to put effort into maintaining their vitality. Then if there's any planet on any of those aspects of Saturn, those planet and their house rulership intensifies. Related to what? Related to effort, related to fighting skills. So because this person, whoever this is, has Rahu in the ascendant, in Aquarius, Saturn here shows this person will put in their effort to understanding new age technology, to understanding the cosmos, to understanding, things which are beyond their understanding. They will put effort. They will be like, okay, I need to put effort. And especially you have to know the planet in the ascendant then becomes very important. So for all those people who don't know about astrology, this may sound a bit of advanced. At one point for me, it did as well. But what this simply shows that this person is going to put in a lot of effort to understand higher science, science of technology, science of, this new age. Because Rahu is the what? Rahu is the Asura. Without the Asuras, there's Devtas and then there's the Asuras. Without the Asuras, I won't be able to talk to you right now through this webcam, through this computer, through YouTube, internet. You will not have your iPhones, and your DSLR cameras and digital filmmaking if it wasn't for Asuras. Because if Devtas were ruling till now, nothing would be here as far as technology is concerned. So whether you hate Rahu, like, oh, it's all material, oh, it's Kali Yuga. Well, if it's Kali Yuga, then stop doing your work as an IT professional. Stop doing your work as an engineer. Engineering knowledge really came about through Rahu. Mars is an engineer. But Mars needs the energy of Rahu to do those work. Why? Because we have technology where we can build planes, aeroplanes. If it wasn't for Rahu, you won't have aeroplanes. And this obviously shows, being in a sign of Aquarius and nakshatra of Dhanishta with the aspect of Saturn, shows this person will probably be attracted to like aerospace, or attracted to like aviation. Then Saturn aspects the 7th house. Oh, I'm sorry, the 7th aspect of Saturn is on the 5th house. Okay. So this shows me that they will have to, the intense karma that they have to deal with is with children. Meaning their major effort in developing their relationship will always be for the children and towards the children. Duty, commitment, sacrifice will come towards the children. Remember what I said about the 7th aspect of Saturn and 7th house. Saturn is duty, commitment, sacrifices. And because 7th, remember 7th house is 10th from the 10th. So the highest of karma are coming to the 5th house. So this person, once they have children, they will be greatly focused towards their education, their studies, their behavior, their spiritual progress. It's all that's going to matter to them. Now, if you know Ashtakavarga, okay, there's 34 points in the Ashtakavarga, which means that they are getting children in this life through which their karma will be unveiled, and that relationship will get better with time, with effort. Because you know how parents put in a lot of effort in raising their children. They said, I put my blood, sweat, and tears. I sold my land. Like I saw some of these interviews. My mom was here. She was watching some Indian TV channel where this farmer sold his land so his daughter can go for becoming like an IAS officer. That sacrifice being made, 7th aspect. And it intensifies every 7 years. Then you look at Saturn's iron fist is in the 8th house. That sounds like a movie, Iron Fist. Has there been a movie, Iron Fist? I'm sure there is some martial arts movie, man. Like Jean-Claude Van Damme's movie. So Saturn aspects the 8th house. And remember, in the 7th aspect, there's Jupiter sitting. Jupiter co-rules this 2nd house and then the 11th house. Okay. So when Saturn aspects with its 7th house, the intensification of relationship will also be felt with the 2nd house things and 11th house things, which is basic families, like their family, their immediate family, their elder siblings, their colleagues, their professional network circles. The relationship is going to be greatly put into that check of karma in terms of dealing and working towards those relationships. Obviously, this shows like a chart of somebody who will be in like either information technology or accounting. But if you look at the 10th aspect of Saturn, which shows where this person feels like I can fight, I can do this. Well, 8th house represents transformation, change, joint assets, life and death scenarios, insurance, inheritance, wills and estates, you know, what do you call in-laws. So it shows that this person will always be able to handle, and they want to deal with joint assets, dealing with research, dealing with digging deep into things. Whenever it comes to research, this person will excel more than anything else. More than looking out for themselves, their appearance, more than dealing with their children and education. This person, when it comes to research, digging deep into things, when it comes to dealing with things that bring transformation, this person will be excellent at it. And because Mars, Sun, Mercury are there, Mars, the 10th Lord and 3rd Lord, Mercury, the 5th Lord and 8th Lord, and Sun, the 7th Lord, shows they will be able to handle their marriage, career, and their efforts will definitely be ironclad. And this shows, because of the fact Mercury rules the 5th house of children and education, definitely shows that one's education would be taking place in fields of computer engineering, new age technology, or dealing with numbers. But especially if you look at this person's Karakamsha Lagna, which is Scorpio, 5th Lord of education, Jupiter, is receiving the aspect of Mars, Sun, Mercury, and Saturn. And all these planets are looking at the 5th house of education. So naturally, this person has to be in engineering or technology. Then, let's look at another person. I don't know how much time I have. So this person, okay, this sounds like a similar placement. Let's look at, oh wait, I was using the, line 2. Okay, this keeps messing up. Boy. Oh my God, what am I doing wrong here? Mercury's retrograding, man. I'm totally screwed up. Okay, so let's look at this one. This is a chart of a person, May 10th, 1996. Saturn is in the 5th house, which means that Saturn's 3rd aspect is on the 7th house of marriage, relationship, partnership, which means throughout their life, relationships with other people always takes an effort. They just have to put in the maximum effort to deal with the relationship. And every 3 years, this aspect gets intensified. And any new task that happens with the 7th house, this effort gets intensified. Now, obviously, they're too young to understand those things. But let's say if they got married next year. When the moment they get married, the Saturn aspect again restarts in its subcategory. So not only is intensifying every 3 years, but now that they got married and the 7th house became a focal point, now again, that thing starts from light aspect to intensifying to dark blue. Then Saturn, 7th aspect, is upon the 11th house of elder siblings, professional network circles. And also Mercury is in the 7th house. Mercury is the 8th lord and the 11th lord. So naturally shows me with their elder sibling, there was definitely karma and definitely a lot of effort needed to maintain that relationship. And Rahu is sitting in the 11th house, the co-ruler of the 4th house. So shows that there's definitely a lot of efforts sacrifices that are being made on behalf of the mother and behalf of a large organization, behalf of their elder sibling. And then Saturn aspects the 10th house where Jupiter is. Jupiter is a co-ruler of the 2nd house and the 5th house. So shows when it comes to their education, their children, their creative self-expression, okay, that's where they really feel confident. They're like, okay, no matter what happens, I will always be able to gain money, gain wealth through my educational skills, through my, through my children, through my creative self-expression, even speculative gains. And every 10 years, this 10th aspect of Saturn will intensify. And because of the fact, let's say like Saturn has this at 27 Ashtakavarga points upon the 10th itself, which shows with enough effort, this person can gain wealth, because obviously Jupiter is creating a Dhan Yoga and it's creating mutual aspect with Venus again, which is again another Dhan Yoga. So just because you see this 27 doesn't mean anything. It just simply means more effort being put towards something. And every person has some low point somewhere, a high point somewhere, okay? But if it doesn't make sense, don't worry about it. But I know I have to run. I have to take my daughter out for an outing. It's Sunday, but I didn't realize it was going to take this long. But this is how you really understand the Saturn's aspect. And there's a lot more to this Saturn aspect that I don't want to discuss here in this video, because there's a lot of negative things that comes about with these Saturn aspects. So I just discussed the side that is discussable, because as you know, I don't do any negative predictions or any negative things. There's no need to do any of them. We all deal with negative things every day in our life. Maybe once in my online school opens up, I'll probably talk about all those things here. Okay. So guys, this was my little video of Saturn, understanding Saturn's aspect. If you're new to my channel, subscribe below. And if you want to know where your Saturn is placed, your destiny points, all my reports, books, consultation, for that, check out the links in the description section for astrology, KRSchannel.com. Otherwise, we'll see you in a couple of days. Bye-bye.